My name is Leslie Delamadre, and I'm going to talk about women's wisdom and the necessity of women's wisdom today and why we need it for our planet. We are in a situation on our planet where the way things have been going for about 5,000 years has been out of balance in terms of honoring women um, in the world, in families, in the workplace, in governments, in creating culture, in um, the fields of um, the intellectual pursuits. Just about everywhere, we don't really hear the voices of women very much, and often when we do, they're highly criticized. And so when we look at the shape that the world is in, um, the world is experiencing a great deal of violence and violence against women. And we've just had the 1 billion rising that was around the planet, that was women gathering to end rape in the world, bring attention to that rape is not, um, it's not, it doesn't promote life, it takes it away. And that was a very big event. That was a global event, and it was making a statement about um, saying no to violence against women and rape. And being that this has gone on for about 5,000 years, this imbalance, there's an imbalance between the feminine and the masculine. There's a serious imbalance, and even our myths reflect teachings that aren't really accurate. For instance, woman is not born from the rib of a man. That it just as a story that really doesn't work. I mean, anybody can see that birth is not done by men. So the fact that we have a mythos that lives in our collective unconscious, that kind of mythos, or we have the Greek mythos that says Athena was born from the forehead of Zeus, which is also a really pretty ridiculous birth myth. Everybody knows that men don't give birth from their heads. And so these myths live in our unconscious, and we teach them intergenerationally. And it's not they're not viable mythologies because they don't teach the truth. And if we want peace on our planet, and which I'm sure everyone does, really deep down they do, we have to change the story. We have to elevate women back to the places of respect as the life givers, as the birth givers, as the ones who actually create culture. Women are the creators of culture, and that's just how it's been. And there's really no acknowledgement of that. But if you think about it, women create life and give birth. So why wouldn't we be the creators of culture? It's not really rocket science. And from my view, it's really important for women to just wake up to themselves and realize uh, what it means to be an empowered woman. What does that mean? And it's not about power. Um, it's not about domination. That's the kind of mess we're in, is from a dominating dominator view. And it's male domination. and it's not a viable paradigm. And we're seeing that. We're really seeing how not viable it is. So the solution is to empower women. And it's well known that, even in third world countries, or actually I don't like to say third world countries, in countries where women are extremely oppressed, and there's all different levels of oppression and all different kinds of oppression, but in countries where women have very, very little choice, and there are micro-lending projects there, everyone knows if you give the money to the men, they go off and they gamble, they drink, they don't bring it into the family. And in many micro-lending programs, those people get that you've got to give the money to the women, because they will nurture with it. They will nurture their families. They will be creative with it, and their caring is for the community. So that brings us to the the um, the paradigm of caring economics. That economics needs to be based on caring, and there's movements around this. Uh, there's a well-known woman, Riane Eisler, who has a book called Caring Economics, and it's all about empowering women. And women and people have to get out of their minds that um, that empowering means control. It's domination is control. Empowering women is not about control. It's about respecting nature as it is. And there are indigenous people in the world that take all their cues in how to live from nature. And those cultures say that it is the mother who births, it is not the father. And they're very clear about it. And the Minangkabau in Sumatra, for instance, their whole culture is based on adat. It's called adat, and it is their law of how they live, and it is all according to what happens in nature. And so women are more revered in that kind of culture because it's obvious that women create life and give birth. So we need to back up and reconnect with the earth and understand that what we do to women, we do to all of life. What happens to women happens to all of life. If women are oppressed and raped and violated, so is all life. And we see that reflected in our environment. So there's a very, very deep connection between what happens to women and what happens in our environment. So, you want me to say more?